Hey YouTube, Moose Cow here. I've been kind of wanting to do this video for a while now, I've collected my thoughts and written out how I feel about things, and just kind of want to throw this out there basically. Kind of just do as you can see before me, this is the BB7 map, and just to be clear, when BB7 first got the map file, at least Sired Blood first put out the map file for it. It was right around the time we did that Madman and I did BBR Chicago 2, and on that note, we're not doing a BBR Chicago 3 this year, just for various reasons going on in both Madman's life and myself as well, and so on and so forth. But anyways, Rommel had gotten a batch of these maps printed, of this version of this map printed, when Sired first put it out, and so that's where I got it from him. So I don't have the actual, I haven't paid my money to Sired directly, so I don't have the map file to see what has been updated, if anything. I don't think there is anything beyond when he first put this out there was an accidental duplicate of this C-Zone number, and I have since he reshuffled a couple C-Zones, so I put some label maker stickers on here. So that just to get that out of the way, that explains what those are. As far as I know, he hasn't done any other map changes to it because, you know, people got their stuff printed or whatnot, and this is a overall minor inconvenience having those. So anyway, just addressing what those little stickers are. But anyway, so that was, let's see, we had Atlanta happened with BB7 happened back in, I think it was first weekend of October or last weekend of September it is. I can't remember what it was last year. You know, working on Kings and Kaisers, and you know, we did the Kings and Kaisers tournament in January and stuff, and so after that, basically wasn't until right after that I finally had my first BB7 game against Wild Bill. It was a casual private game between myself and him. I ended up winning as the allies, and it was good to play him. Bill's a good guy. And I kind of got thinking about, like, a while ago, like, Bill had done some kind of video talking about the BB6 map and things he would like change or ideas he addressed or whatever. And so I kind of got thinking about that, maybe do my own version of that, so to speak. So I have a tendency to ramble. So I typed out a pretty lengthy review, so I'm just going to go over my little points. I'm going to talk about what I like, what I mapped, because this is, you know, new map. So I'm just I figure I'll just talk about things I like, things I don't like, ideas, rule changes or whatever with this new version. Just kind of address my thoughts on this version, just for fun, you know. I had a lot of thoughts going into it, and a lot of thoughts coming out of it. Some things I thought about were kind of like confirmed for me. Some new things kind of, you know, new realizations pop up when you play a new version, and so on and so forth. Anyway, so I figured I would share them. I've had a lot of good times with this game, and I care about it very much. BB6 was a great version and seemed to be the end of revising out-of-box 1940 Global. Sired Blood had originally announced that BB7 would be a whole new game with a whole new map. Obviously, the goal of distancing Bloodbath from out-of-box 1940 Global is a understandably desirable task. Now, I'm not going to go into the exact specifics of how BB7 came out, the original planned 41 game, and so on. I'm just going to go into my thoughts on this map and gameplay as it is right now, which of course is subject to change. For instance, Sired just put up the digital file for the rule book and revised the cards in the card deck again, like the order of the cards. He trimmed the duplicates, which I think is a great idea. St. Louis is happening in about a month from now, as I typed this, or as I'm recording this now. But to be clear, I'm not saying that Sired Blood has to listen to me about any of this. It's his game. I just like to share my thoughts. I'm not saying that he has to listen to me. Not at all. Try and be super respectful, and I just want to like throw out, you know, throw out some things about, share my thoughts about a game I care about, So, just kind of give you a view. If you haven't seen the BB7 map before, this is what it is now. I actually have the 6 map underneath it. There's a little bit of comparison. The biggest change is China to me, and I'll go into that. But anyway, so here's the things I like with the map. First things first, let me zoom in right here. I'll get a little closer so you can see it. The Sahara. Now it is split up into 4 impassable territories that are impassable to all units other than strategic and heavy bombers. I actually like this. I think this is cool. I do think this is cool because also there's some historical basis for this. I had watched a video, I forget what that guy's name is. He always does a bunch of historical videos, but Germany actually did do a bombing run against Free France where they crossed the Sahara here, and then on their way back, they actually got stuck in the Sahara. They had to crash land in the Sahara, and then Italy flew in like a rescue mission and found them and refueled them and got them out or whatever. So maybe not a crash land, but an emergency land anyway. So that is actually cool. I think that's reasonable, and I think this is cool. I do like this. I think that's worth being in this game. And again, this is like, Sire changed the map and created this this whole new map, and so I think all the changes are worth addressing. And is it worth to change something? Is it worth not? If you're going to change the map, I think if you have to change the map, this is cool. I do like this. So I'm just throwing it out there. The China rework. I'm still talking about things I like. Get my computer over here. The China rework is cool and very likely way more accurate. See if we can get some more light over here. Where was I? The China rework is cool and very likely way more accurate. The only thing I don't like right away is that several territories just sound similar now. We got Honan and we got Hunan. We got Shenxi and we got Shanxi, which kind of means that players in YouTube wars now need, when they're doing their dispositions and stuff, they have to excessively enunciate these territories. It's a minor inconvenience, but it would be nice if that wasn't an issue. Maybe, he could have kept. I've looking this up online. It is difficult to find good maps of China. Maybe he could have kept the title of Shanxi, kept that as Chahar, and named Honan something else, but from what I've looked at online, I haven't been able to figure out what would be a reasonable substitute. But he, one thing he could have done was kept Shanxi as Chahar. I've looked online, and it could still work for that. Minor thing. The Chinese warlord territory is cool, and I like that now in the Chinese setup, the cavalry are no longer player's choice in the setup because of the pro-China territory. After I pointed that out, I think that's cool. The addition, here, let me get in closer. The addition of Tibet is cool. I like that that's represented because it's there. So having a neutral in Tibet is cool. Proper Turkish Straits here is awesome, so that Russia cannot possibly align pro-Allied Greece. I pointed that out. I kind of made a stink about that for a while. Sire, listen to me. That's cool. This is good. I like accurate borders. That's my thing. The addition of the Ural Mountains as an impassable territory, so Japan can't just go from Ivansky to Urals. If they decide to go this way, they have to go around it. I think that's cool. Yeah, I think that's cool. The resource additions to what is it? We got Western Australia. We got one in Tibet, and Belgian Congo. That's all right. My initial concern is that I think the resources point should be 4 out of 7 instead of 3 out of 7, or maybe remove the one from Manchuria, just because it's the least of an accomplishment for the Axis. I mean, it makes sense for the Axis for there to be a resource point there. I'm just saying, if you want to keep it at 3 instead of bumping it up to 4, 3 out of 7 instead of 4 out of 7, maybe it's better at being 3 out of 6 and not, if you're not going to have it be 4 out of 7, because right now, if it's just 3 out of 7, I mean, 1, 2, 3, 4 even, it's easy for Japan. My feeling is that it's easy for Japan in a lot of games to be able to hang on to 3 out of 7, not so much 4 out of 7 maybe, but that's just kind of my feel about it. Congo kind of makes some sense for that. Anyway, let's see, the oil addition to Venezuela. Cool. Totally makes sense. Historically accurate. Makes sense to add that. Condensing Canada is fine. Canada and US have both been condensed. Canada, at least, is fine. It is the second largest country in the world, so seeing it as just 2 territories is a little weird if you think about it, but for gameplay purposes, it's fine. Spain getting an additional dude in Rio de Oro, fine. Maybe, Spain used to get in BB4, Spain used to get involved all the time. Now it's rare that it does, so I think that's fine. More territories in Russia, cool. But more on that later. I have a lot of thoughts about that later. French Indochina being split, so now we have North Indochina. That's cool. I think it's a little weird that that North Indochina doesn't contribute to the South Asia victory point, but that's fine. Condensing the Indian Ocean. This is actually the most changed of the oceans, and originally, like here, there's the map underneath. This is the 1940 out of box kind of style setup or whatever. There's all these like bogus little sea zones. Then you have one big sea zone over here, and he condensed those 3 sea zones into one and stuff. And there's maybe another minor. I think he condensed a sea zone here as well. That's good. Overall that's good, because all these sea zones, that's just unnecessary, and aesthetically, I like that you can see all of New Zealand now, instead of New Zealand being, there's Kings and Kaisers underneath, instead of New Zealand being cut off. I like that you can see all of it now. Okay, so those are the things that jumped out to me that I liked. We're already at 13 minutes, almost 13 and a half minutes now. Okay, so anyway, map changes that I don't like that affect gameplay. He has made the Pripet Marshes into a standard territory. Used to be an impassable territory. All right, so a little bit about me and Bill's game. He did a G1 against Russia, and he did a J1 against US. And he did his blitzkrieg to try and take out Ukraine. However, he got diced in Bessarabia, so he basically wasted. That's what ended up happening, was that he wasted his blitz. So he got hosed a little bit he got hosed on his Russia push a little bit. I understand it's not going to be the case for every single game. But what ended up happening because of that, I basically, seeing that, I just threw everything at almost everything from US just went at Germany. So eventually I had most of Europe by the end of it and whatnot before it was called. But anyway, throughout the game, I just kind of wanted to see how I could exploit this or whatever as Russia. And I, 1, 2, 3, you can rail into the Pripet Marshes. You can't move a factory in there, but like I stacked the Pripet Marshes throughout most of the game. And we ended up in like kind of like tit for tat battles. Eventually he took Leningrad, and then I took it back and would have been able to get Warsaw by the end of it. But anyway, my point being is, if the feeling I got is that if Germany chokes on the Eastern Front at all, it does benefit Russia to stack this territory. And this territory, just from an aesthetic, from a map point of view, it's way too small. I know Syards, he said he was going to get rid of it, but he kept it because there was a Pripet Marshes massacre, which is, so if he kept it for historical reasons for that, I guess, which is fine. But if this isn't changed in terms of how big it is, it needs to be bigger. If this is going to be a standard territory, it needs to be bigger, or just changed into something else or whatever. This needs to be bigger, or it needs a restriction like the Shan Pass has. So like infantry only can go into the Pripet Marshes, and air units can go into the Pripet Marshes, or fly over the Pripet Marshes rather. They can move through it, but they can't end their movement in there or something. But yeah, you literally have just enough space in this territory for one stack of chips. You need to have, if you're going to, many games are probably just going to go around this and ignore it. But if you stack this, it's impossible to not have a cluttered board with this territory. And I did it, and it absolutely, for me, it absolutely benefited me in my game. So if this is going to be a standard territory, this just needs to be bigger. If you're going to keep it as it is, it needs some kind of restriction. Maybe tanks and mechs and advanced artillery can move through it, but they can't end their movement in there because they'll sink into the swamp. I don't know, but something with that territory, it was one of the first things I thought of when I saw this map, and it's just as a game, that territory, there needs to be an adjustment with that. Anyway. Okay, the Thailand rework. I like that this territory is now an accurate border. However, in terms of gameplay, and I've always been kind of cautious about this when suggesting this in the past, because now UK can't rail to Malaya. That's not the issue I'm talking about. The issue with this is that unless Japan on their first turn, comes down, makes it so they're going to come down here, right? Bill did a J1, so he didn't do that. So as UK, I immediately attacked it. And you can, now that this border here borders this sea zone, you can very easily destroy Thailand as UK, unless Japan, comes down over here. And yeah, he has, with the setup that it is currently, you can throw 3 fighters at it. You can tuck the ships around and bombard a battleship cruiser, bring the 3 infantry up from Malaya, throw a tank in there, the infantry from East Burma. You can just overwhelmingly just destroy Thailand. Again, it depends on what Japan does, but if the only solution to not do that, or the only reason to not do that is for Japan to come down here, well, then most games Japan's going to come down here, unless they really don't care about super ally Asia. I don't know. The easiest fix for this that wouldn't acquire, and I just don't like the feel of that. Like UK can attack this without being at war with Japan. So the easiest fix for this is that you change the political situation so that the allies attacking Thailand, Japan would consider that a declaration of war against them, similar to like if UK came into China, then Japan would consider that a declaration of war. So I don't know, gameplay-wise, something should be adjusted to reflect that, unless the setup is going to change a little bit, I guess. But I don't know. But I just want to throw that out there, that it's very easy. It's very easy for UK to overwhelmingly do this. You can transport an infantry and artillery into there, obviously to get the bombards in. But you can just wipe this out, and Japan probably won't have enough to you know, unless they go all down here, you know, Japan probably isn't going to be able to do much about it. And like, you know, gameplay wise, you know, this is for them to get those guys, and kind of just stinks that they can't get them if that happens. In the original not out of box, but the BBR, you know, 6 version, you couldn't do that because Thailand didn't have an accurate border. You couldn't do that. So that's why it wouldn't benefit Britain from being able to do that, but they can throw so much more at it now. So anyway, all right. I just don't want it to make this a scripted move for Japan, that Japan has to go down here right away on their first turn with the bulk of their stuff if they want to get these guys or not, you know. All right. Anyway, that's enough about that. The Kuril Islands. He added the Kuril Islands here up in North Japan. It's an interesting idea, but I don't think it's necessary as it is, really. I have more on this later. I will be talking about this more later. The Eastern Iran elimination. So he got rid of the East Iran territory, which, okay, it was a empty blank territory, but without it, you know, this was one of the first things that me and others had, you know, that I play with noticed. The Middle East now combined with the Russian Lend-Lease just makes this is just now a super highway. So, you know, a factory in Iraq can now rail to India, whereas before it could only rail to West India. And so this is just, it's just a super highway, and I don't feel great about it, honestly. Just, it's my initial thoughts from it. So just thinking about that. Let's see. Yeah, I don't know. This just feels very Allied favored, having this on top of having the Russian Lend-Lease here, and I'll talk a little bit more about that later. The Baltic Sea. It's now, he condensed it from 3 sea zones to 2. I don't like this. It really should be 3 sea zones. And maybe this is you know, what he wants. But you can now fly a fight without ATC, you know. You can fly fighters back and forth from London to Leningrad. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you know, because there's air bases in both territories. You can just fly them back and forth. I don't like that. 2, 3, 4, 5. You know, you can fly them this way, but you can't get to Leningrad. You can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You could get one short, you know. But here you can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I did that in our game too. I flew a British fighter over, and then I flew it back. I flew a fighter from Scotland, I think, to hit up here at some point, and then flew it looped around. I don't know, didn't feel good about it. It also means, you know, you have that German cruiser is another ship if you want to throw over here, which I kind of get it in some regard with the setup changes and the AAA shot rules now, but I don't know. I don't like that you can do that. I liked how before, like, if you have ATC, you can do that, but you can't, you know, as Britain, if you have ATC, you can do that, but you can't get back. You know, I don't know. Okay. The Atlantic. I'm not sure the route from US to Iceland really needed to be changed. And you can see this here. So it's like, now it's, instead of 1, 2, 3, it's now from here 1, 2, 3, 4. This little guy, I'm going to zoom in here. It's actually kind of difficult, in my opinion, kind of difficult to see this. And I don't know, it's just a little awkward looking in my personal opinion, just a little awkward looking. So now that makes Gibraltar even more important, and you can't skirt around it at all as the US. US has this as their option to get into Europe. They don't really have this and this. You know, they don't have two options, and this would be another option. Granted, UK has to build like a naval base there or whatever in Iceland to really have the same effect or whatever, you know, to get to mainland Europe. But I don't know, just I'm not sure if that's the solution. And that's like really the main, that's like the main change. Oh man, I'm already at 25 minutes. That's like the main change in the Atlantic. I don't know. Now, on the subject of oceans, the other change in the Pacific Ocean besides this sea zone, you know, he made it so that you can't go 1, 2, 3. You can't go up to, he made this more difficult to go across right here. And he made it so that this is easier to do. 1, 2, 3, right? He like changed, I think it was this sea zone border here. He changed this sea zone border here. And he changed this up here. And of course there's, I think, a sea zone elimination technically because of how South America is now. It just doesn't feel different enough to me. Like, one of the ideas of this was, like, I'm glad the Pacific was adjusted, but I just feel like it needs more of a rework. Like, if you're going to change the game, it just feels, if you're going to change the map, it just feels like a missed opportunity. Like, it feels like if you're going to change the map, like, go hog wild. Like, on the sea zones, go hog wild on it. That's what I feel like should have happened. Like, one of the promises was that this was just going to be a whole new map, a whole new game. But there's like just 2 or 3 different changes in the Pacific Ocean. And it just seems like a missed opportunity to distance itself from the out-of-box G40 map, if that was really the goal, personally. That's just my initial, my feeling on it. Like, if you were gonna change it up, I would have made sea-centric sea zones, you know, so like islands aren't surrounded by just one sea zone. You know, Philippines, make it so the Philippines can be, is connected, is surrounded by like 3 different sea zones, things like that, you know. Like, if you were gonna like go hog wild and do something new, you know, make something new, you know. That just, I don't know, just my 2 cents on it, you know. Caucasus now no longer has the resource point. I'm not a fan of removing the contribution to the resources point of Caucasus. I understand that it double dips with the oil point already, or at least it did. But if there was ever a territory that should double dip, it's Caucasus, right? Like, that's just, it makes too much sense for that to be a double dip one. It's just, it's weird that he took that away and moved it to either Tibet or Congo or just another, you know, he added it to, he moved it elsewhere, which is fine, but like, it doesn't double dip. The Caucasus doesn't double dip, but it makes too much sense for that one to double dip, because like Tibet, Venezuela, Saudi Arabia, Venezuela, and Tibet double dip with the neutrals, the new neutrals victory point and oil and resources, but Caucasus doesn't double dip. So this contributes to 2 victory points, this contributes to 2 victory points, this contributes to 2 victory points, but Caucasus still only contributes to 1 victory point. You know, I don't know. I guess Manchuria also like contributes to like the China point too, but I don't know. It's just something that feels weird to me. Okay. I'm about at 30 minutes. I'll cut and make another video soon. Let's see. I got 3 more points. I hate, if I can be passionate about this, I hate that French West Africa and French Central Africa have been condensed into one territory. this is huge. Like, not necessarily in terms of gameplay, but it's just huge in regards to geography. This territory represents a huge amount of land, and so being able to like fly to here and this be counting as one movement, it's just geographically it doesn't make any sense to me. I think I don't know, I like the French colonies all being represented properly, or I don't know. It just, I get it because it's Africa in terms of like what actually happens in Africa, but like this is just I don't know, I can point it at so many times, but it's just this is a ridiculously large territory in terms of what it represents and stuff. Backing up to the Middle East, there is now no longer, at least within the infantry setup, there's now no longer a infantry unit in northern Iran, which used to be northwest Iran, I think. Anyway, now it's northern Iran, which is fine. The retitling of some territories is fine. This guy so now northern Iran is worth 1 IPC, and it doesn't have a defending infantry. Iran still has 2. And Iraq still has 2. Originally out of box, Iraq had 3, and they moved, Sired Blood moved a guy from Iraq to northern Iran. Now that he's given him IPC, he just got rid of the guy. I mean, if you're going to keep the guy here, I should have moved him back to Iraq in the setup. But, I mean, this makes the Middle East even easier for the Allies, and it basically is completely free money to Russia, because Russia's going to, take this. They're going to get $2 for their national objective and get a third buck on top of it. So once Russia's at war, they get zoomed out a little too far. They get $3. It's kind of like a step back to the days of BBR3 when they could just, take a tank and a mech and blitz there and go back. And, the Middle East is just even easier for allies, and there's just more free money for Russia. So I just, if you're going to give it $1, at least keep that guy there, I think. But I don't know. Let's see. And then, of course, on that note, while the more added territories to Russia is cool, with that has come more money to Russia. He's shuffled the IPCs a bit. They now start from 37. They start with 40, from 37 IPCs to 40 IPCs. So that plus the 3 free IPCs in the Middle East, plus an additional Lend-Lease that they can receive, Lend-Lease option. They don't get all 3 Lend-Leases. I like that they get a choice between the 2 out of 3, because they usually lose 1 in a game usually, but I like that they get a choice of 2 out of 3. But this just so much. Russia gets just so much money now. And with that, I really do think that, I've been saying this for a while, the Archangel Lend-Lease, I do think that if you roll a 4, instead of getting 2 artillery, you should get an artillery and a mech, not 2 artillery. And I do think that the roll of 6 should be adjusted to a tank. Instead of a tank and artillery, it should be a tank and a destroyer. Back in BB3, you used to get a destroyer. I miss the destroyer. Get some more Russian sea units on the board, instead of the only Russian destroyer being trapped here for the entire game. At least that can possibly happen. I think the destroyer is cool in the Lend-Lease. I miss it. I wish it would come back. Anyway, there's just too many artillery in the Lend-Leases. Originally, when he first released the Lend-Lease information for this one, it was a little stronger. Now he toned it back a little bit and removed some artillery, but anyway, it just with the addition of all the territories and other things for Russia's just getting so much money now. Like if they had stayed at 37 IPCs instead of 40 IPCs, and you gave them the more territories, but kept them at 37 IPCs to start with at least, and don't have it so they can gain another IPC like automatically. I don't know. Like, it makes sense for this to be worth $1. It does make sense for it to be worth $1, but there should be at least a guy there to, like, because it's, you know, oil Middle East. I get it. But there should at least be a defense there. It shouldn't be just, it's literally just free money for Russia. And that just, I don't know, that just bothers me. All right. Okay, I am at 35 minutes for this right now. I'm going to cut this and make a separate video for the rest of it.